Hello guys, I just want to record a quick video on planning a LIDAR mission with the DJI M300 with the yellow scan mapper payload. So what I'm going to use is the latest version of UGCS Expert, which gives me the LIDAR planning tools. So let's get started. So right now I'm going to go to add new route. Let's name this things and stuff. Click next. We'll then select our M300 because that's what we're going to be using. Click next. In here, usually I won't really touch too much. I have my max altitude above ground set to something ridiculous because I plan a lot of crazy missions and I kind of just want to see flight lines. So if you don't set things a certain way, it prevents you from doing something stupid. So I have these set to something ridiculous because I just like looking at crazy missions. So usually I'll leave these on default. Action on loss of RC, you can set here if you want to go to home, continue on, or do not modify, or it does whatever the DJI should do. Usually I'll just tell it to come home if anything happens. Trajectory type is straight and safe. I'll go through this and show you this when it comes later on in this video, but right now I'll click straight. Alright, so I have this area right here. I want to get this, let's say this area right here. So what I'll do first is I'll most likely, let's say, make this the takeoff area right here. So I'll click takeoff, double click on the area. I'm going to want it to go up to 80 meters in altitude, which will be my flight height. And I'll go up at about 5 meters a second. You want it to avoid obstacles and avoid terrain. And altitude mode is going to be AGL, so above ground level. So once you have your takeoff set, you want to then go to your LIDAR area. So one of the big things for setting a takeoff is, in general, if you don't, so if you just made this LIDAR area that you wanted to fly, after you take off, you do your J-hooks and you tell it to go on its mission, it's not going to do a terrain follow to that first waypoint. A lot of the times it's not an issue, but there are times where it is an issue. But just to be safe, I would always set a takeoff and a landing point. But let's start clicking. So double click first waypoint, second boundary, third, come up here. There we go. And it's going to compute the route. I always like to go to parameters and go to show elevation. So this will give me what the elevation looks like in addition to the waypoint count and the duration of how long it's going to take to fly, my max altitude and my minimum altitude right here. So right now that looks pretty good. So if we look at this right here, so what's going to happen is this is going to be the first waypoint. So it goes 1 out to 2 right here. If you didn't have that takeoff, it wouldn't terrain follow all the way down. So it's good to always set this takeoff, and then now we're going to set a landing. We're going to land where we about took off. So now, as you can see right here, if you didn't have it set, what ends up happening is you hit return to home. If you didn't set a specific return to home altitude, it's going to come straight back. In this instance, as long as the trees weren't too tall, you might be able to make it back. But in many cases, is you want that terrain following from the last waypoint back home. And then there was that one setting in parameters we can go to. So the difference in trajectory type, if I click safe, click OK, it's going to recompute. And now instead of terrain following from the last waypoint or the start directly to the takeoff and landing, it's going to climb to the highest and then it's going to proceed back. So depending on what you're flying, you can either set that to safe or you can have it set to straight. Most of the time I'll have it set to straight, but definitely if you're flying in more tricky terrain or there are tall trees, doing it the safe way is always the best way. So now you can see right here, you can see the whole altitude along route. It's going to take about 26 minutes. But that is how I would plan the mission. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Hope this video helped. Thank you.